This is the Lowco FC podcast. Here are your hosts, Kerr and Misael Garzon.
Welcome into another episode of Lowco FC. Hope everyone's doing well and a great weekend. And thanks again for joining us on what's been a beautiful Sunday here in Lowco. And now it's time to talk some soccer, Misa, because we have flipped the calendar over to April. Things are ramping up in the South Carolina soccer schedule, both on the high school league and the Skeeza sides. And had a bit of rain early in the week, but we were able to get some games in near the end. So Misael Garzon and Wes Kerr. Misa, of course, the head coach of the May River Boys soccer team. And Misa, how are you doing here tonight?
Doing good, man. Beautiful weather, like you said today. Week started off a little rough with the rain, but it kind of got much beautiful this weekend. And glad to be live again. Thank you all for tuning in. Like Usher, Lil Jon, and Ludacris once said, we had to do it again. We're doing it again. We're live. But good week of soccer. We are getting ready for that playoff push. A lot of playoff races, a lot of playoff positioning is up for grabs before we go on spring break. So it's going to be very exciting times indeed. We're coming up for the last month of the regular season.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite times of the year here at Lowco Sports. We got spring sports, getting into that next gear as the playoff push gets on. And then on top of that, of course, we got the RBC Heritage just a few weeks away, which that field continues to be unbelievably phenomenal. I believe 9 of the top 10 world golfers committed to the event, so that's going to be so fun to cover. But this podcast, we're talking soccer, football, and we are going to jump right in here because a lot of headlines after, an abbreviated week of games, but still some big games that we're able to cover in person and cover throughout the Lowco. So let's get into that, and we'll start with the game that I was at. Hilton Head Prep and JP2. What a fantastic girls game that was. Hilton Head Prep hangs on 3-2 in a back-and-forth affair. A lot of end-to-end action that one. And Ashley Brothers, the 8th grader, with the hat trick. 3 goals for the sensation out of their Hilton Head Prep Dolphins. And she put on a show with her speed and her finishing ability to put the ball in the back of the net. Just a terrific touch. Just the intelligence, the IQ, and just the speed to get to those loose balls. Really impressive young player, and JP2 suffering their first loss of the season. So a heck of a battle between those two squads in region in 3A and Skeeza in their region. What a tremendous game that was, back and forth the entire way. Hilton Head Prep, they rallied back from a goal down earlier on. They stretched the lead to 3-1. And then after Brothers got that hat trick, JP2 came right back at him, made it interesting, and almost found the equalizer. A couple big-time defensive plays late to maintain the Hilton Head Prep lead. But what a great soccer game that was. Maybe the best one I've covered all year. A fantastic battle. I'm really excited for both those two teams going forward.
Yeah, shout out to Ashley Brothers getting a hat trick. She's only in 8th grade, so we're going to see this for 4 more years after this season. For those that may not know, Skeeza allows 8th graders to play varsity soccer. It is not allowed in the high school league. But to get a hat trick in a big rivalry game, because these are local rivals and they are region rivals, and they're both gunning for the same objective at the end of the season, which is to have a chance to play for a state championship. So great game, great final result. 3-2 when the games are back and forth are always fun to watch. And then John Paul too. The girls have had a phenomenal season leading up to this point. First loss of the season. I am curious to see how they react and how they bounce back after suffering a loss, a region loss at that. Right? It's sometimes we enjoy winning, and then when we start losing a region, it has a bigger effect than the non-region games because of region seeding and where you finish. But it was a great game. Ashley Brothers hat trick as an 8th grader in a region matchup. It's awesome to do. Not something that's easy to do against a very good John Paul squad that has been very difficult to score against this season. So it was interesting to see her be able to come out and get a hat trick on and lead them to a win.
Yeah, and you speak about how tough it's been to score against that Golden Warriors side. Trinity Grace Maxwell was outstanding in net, made 8 saves between the pipes, keeping the Golden Warriors in that ball game. Just a tremendous job that she displayed in goal for JP2. Emma Sauls and Ayla Reynolds scoring the pair for the Golden Warriors. Once again, a fantastic game, and I'm really impressed with what I saw against that, with that JP2 team. Really, I mean, they looked the part. A quick team, a lot of strong technique and skill. Great finishing, and just they kept battling and they kept fighting, and that's what you want to see from your team in a tough road environment, going over to Sea Pines to play a very good Hilton Head prep team, and nearly came out of that with a victory. They were right there until the end. So excellent effort there by the Golden Warriors, unfortunately suffering their first loss this season. So they're 5-2. Great start, though, from that JP2 squad. So let's move across the bridge to the Bluffton Derby, both the boys and girls editions of the Bluffton Derby in action this past week. And a good one on your end, Misael Garzon. May River coming out victorious 2-1 in overtime over Bluffton. What a fantastic contest that was. And then Bluffton girls shutting out the Sharks 3-0. Your final score there. We'll actually speak with Gwenna Townsend of the Bluffton Bobcats in the second, alongside Quinn Wilson of Beaufort Eagles. We'll get to that pretty soon. But first of all, two great editions of what's been a fantastic rivalry, really all sports, but especially on the soccer pitch.
Yeah, no, on the boys side, obviously I was there. Very intense game. I spoke about it on Twitter where it was a very intense matchup. Both teams you could tell that both wanted to win and send a message out. We're both in the middle of a region race for playoff seeding and playoff positioning, which is so important. And it was good to see kind of that intensity in both teams going back and forth. Bluffton made us play a style that we're not normally used to playing just because of how aggressive they were and how physical they were. But kudos to our boys being able to hold on to the score early goal off of Nathan Dalton throw in and headed in by Josh Elam, who was our leading scorer, going into the half with a 1-0 lead. And then Bluffton in the second half, getting the equalizer late in the second half. And then overtime, it's difficult. Our boys just came off an overtime game against Hilton Head Friday night last week, which we had lost in penalty shootouts. And I told the boys, hey, this is our chance to redeem ourselves and show what we got. We know things are difficult right now and things that we can't control, we can't focus on. Let's go out there and get a goal and get the win in home court. And we scored what was ended up being a game winner by Jacob Medeiros in the first minute of the first overtime series. Overtime are always 2 5-minute quarters or 2 5-minute periods with no golden goal in high school league. So it was good to get a 2-1 lead. But of course, Bluffton did not back down. They kept fighting, trying to get the equalizer. And fortunately, we were able to pull off the win. And then on the girls' side, we spoke about it last week, Wes, about this being a very important game for playoff positioning. Bluffton beat James Island last week. They came off a tough loss on the road against what is right now number 1 ranked Lucy Beckham in 4A Wednesday night, 3-1. And they bounced back in a mighty way at home against your biggest rival. 3-0 victory, a clean sheet. Like you said, we're going to interview Gwenna later, but she led the way with 2 goals. And it was a strong defensive output by Bluffton to kind of just control the game and get a much-needed win that keeps them in the race with James Island, who is also with 2 losses in the region. So Bluffton right now is third in region standings. May River is fourth. Hilton Head had a tough week, losing on the road to James Island. Losing to James Island. So they're right there 1 game behind May River. But it was a big win for the Bluffton girls to kind of take control and hold the early lead in tiebreaker situation. They've beaten Hilton Head. They've beaten May River. They've beaten James Island. They lost the season series to Lucy Beckham, but they still have a ways to go with games. They play James Island again. That's going to end up being a very important game if they can win out, because if they win out the rest of the region games, then you're looking at Bluffton possibly hosting a first round or second round playoff game because the 2 seed and 7A gets a first round bye this year in the playoff brackets. And that's going to be very important because, as we know, when the girls' side last year, 3 of the 4 teams that won the lower state semifinals were from Region 7 4A, and 2 teams, Hilton Head and James Island, were from our region lower state finals. So it's very important to get a high seeding and get favorable matchups early on to be able to go as far as you can in lower state this year in 4A.
Speaking of the Bluffton girls team, let's welcome in Gwenna Townsend now to the podcast alongside stellar Beaufort High goalkeeper Quinn Wilson. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you guys for coming on. Gwenna, let's start with you. Big time win, just coming off another key victory in the region race over your rival May River. Just describe that game and how you guys are feeling midway through the region calendar.
So we ended the first half tied 0-0, and I just feel like we weren't connecting in the midfield, and we just could not finish at all. So we came back in the second half, and I just feel like we worked out our midfield. We just started getting first to the ball, which was needed because we were not getting first to the ball at all. And then we just worked harder, and then we just realized that we needed to beat this team because May River is like our biggest rival. So then we just finished 3 goals, and yeah, we just worked hard.
Yeah, now, Quinn, you played Bluffton earlier in the year, and when I'm gonna ask you how is it like to play as a forward against a keeper of Quinn's caliber? It's pretty much impossible to score against her. But now that you're not in the region, Quinn, and kind of seeing from the outside the Bluffton, May River, Hilton Head matchups, James Island, and Lucy Beckham. What are your thoughts on what you're seeing? How did having being in that region previously help you guys in your quest in 3A now in your region matchup so far this year?
It definitely helped us have a good position with where we are now. I mean, as we know, Bluffton, Hilton Head, May River, they've all been rivals to us no matter when or where we played them. But they're all really, really good teams. And we've put up very hard fought matches with them. So playing teams of their caliber and then moving down to 3A, I think gave us a pretty good advantage with some of the teams we were going to play further in the season.
Quinn Wilson, goalkeeper from Beaufort High, once again a terrific start to her season. Just picked up with her team a pair of shutouts, 7-0 and 4-0 over Battery Creek. Quinn, has been a great season for you. Describe what you've seen from your teammates at Beaufort and how this season has gone so far over there, the Eagles.
Well, our strength of schedule has been really difficult. Before it was all region play, preseason, and even some of the scrimmages we've just had, the teams we're playing are a higher caliber. So we've struggled, but from those games that even been big losses, I mean, we've learned so much, and honestly, we've just gotten better as a team. But yeah, the Battery Creek win was definitely extremely important to Beaufort. If you know, Beaufort does not like Battery Creek. That has always been a rivalry. And the big wins we had felt really nice. We'll just say that.
All right, now Gwenna, to you. What has it been so far this season? You are a senior now. You've been a part of the varsity program for many years. It's your final year. James Island, that big win. Walk us through your emotion, your teammates' emotions. You guys were down 3-1 at halftime, 3 second-half goals. You finally beat James Island, which has been the back-to-back state champions. Kind of give us an insight on what that was like for you as a player, as a senior, and then for your team overall, and how's that helped you guys since then?
So yeah, when we did 3-1 at halftime, we just all knew that like we've always wanted to beat James Island. Like they're 2-time state champions. They've always been good. They've always had excellent players on their team. So we just went into the second half knowing that we just had to work super hard and I was playing defense for the first half, and I wasn't really giving what I needed to give. So he decided to put me up as center forward, and I just felt like putting me up there helped us like move the ball more, get us more up top. With my speed, I was able to finish more. So yeah, we just worked really hard, and I just felt like we have so much more power that we don't usually use a lot. So it just showed out more once we played James Island.
Tremendous win for you guys, and also picked up a big win penalties earlier on the season over Hilton Head. So what are you most looking forward to in the second half of region play, and what's it going to take to secure one of those top playoff seeds out of this region?
So in the beginning of our season, I feel like we were playing with 3 in the back, and that was really hurting us at first. So we decided to play more defensively with our team because we have a lot of good players up top, and we struggle more defensively. So with putting 4 in the back and playing with like 2 defensive midfields, that's been helping us a lot more. So I feel like it will give us a better advantage going on into the season.
And Quinn, same question for you. You guys are not sitting up for region play. You just spoke about beating Battery Creek. Aside from the rivalry, I'm a former Beaufort Eagle, so I know what it's like to beat Battery Creek. It's an expectation standard. We don't take anything less. But now you're going to region play where you guys are now in 3A and you're fighting for positioning to get home playoff games and still contend for a region championship. So what is you guys' mindset going into the second half of the season to secure a playoff spot and hopefully get some home playoff games?
Honestly, it's to win out. Philip Simmons was definitely our hardest competition in this region, and we knew that going in. And the games we played against them they were tough and they were well fought. But like I said before, all the games we've played up to this moment have definitely prepared us the best with everyone on the field. We struggled so much in the beginning of the season, just with positioning. I mean, a lot of the girls don't play soccer all year, but they've all gotten so good, and working as a team has definitely helped. And the games we're getting to in region, our plan is to win out. We want to have a good position in playoffs. We want to make it farther.
And Quinn, what a career you've had so far at Beaufort High, not just on the soccer field, but on the basketball court, and some big college news for you recently.
Yes. I committed to Georgia Southern, as did Gwenna.
Yeah.
No, that's huge, and congrats to you both. Those are Division 1 program, so that's huge for you guys. You're far enough away from home that you can kind of do your own thing, but close enough that if you need to come home, you can. But let's put you guys on the spot. Gwenna, you have been a forward. You are a diverse player. I've had the pleasure of watching you play for years, from your times at GPS, now at Tormenta and club soccer. Quinn as well. For those that know, Quinn's older brother is a goalkeeper as well. He was one of the fiercest competitors that I had to coach with, to the point that he made me lose hair a lot earlier than I should have. But it was because he was passionate for the game. So, Gwenna, give us your scouting report of Quinn, the goalkeeper. And then, Quinn, I want you to give us a scouting report of Gwenna, the player. So go ahead, Gwenna. You go first.
What do you like the good thing and bad things about Quinn? Is that what I'm saying?
Yep. I want to hear the scouting report. I want you to give us the juice as a foot player who has played Quinn for years, the pros and cons of Quinn, and like you're scouting her, getting ready for a game against her. What are you looking at? What are her strengths? Tell me about Quinn.
So if I'm going against Quinn, I know that she is like very aggressive. She will go after that ball. So if you were dribbling, there's just like no way of going around her. She's just gonna pounce on that ball. And even with long shots, she's going to get those like high balls. She might look like short and small, but she will get those balls. I remember last year when we played her, that's like the best game I've ever seen her play. Like it was incredible. She had to have like at least 20 saves that game. But like once we got that one shot on her, she just completely like broke down because like it was just took so much on her. But she did phenomenal. Like that's like I was like, oh my gosh, she's just like the best goalie I've ever seen. So yeah.
Quinn, your turn now. Tell us about Gwenna. Scout her as a keeper, as Gwenna as a player.
Honestly, from a keeper's point of view, Gwenna, I'm scared. I've been scared. She would play us even with the Bluffton. She'd be a center forward. I will admit that I was a little scared of her shot, and she said I was aggressive. With Gwenna, I was worried to be aggressive. She is one of the players that will go in no matter what. She's extremely tough, and it's such a good attribute for her because, I mean, she goes after the ball, she wins the ball, she stays with it. Her passes, her shots are all amazing. I will say she can get a little frustrated as well.
Yep.
And I think it's kind of for both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another question for both of you. You guys have been playing for a number of years, have been coming up through the ranks. I'm sure playing, with a lot of different teams. Tell me about, how different levels of soccer, how travel soccer has, helped develop your game, how, conditioning over the years has helped you become the player that you are now. So just both tell me about how you've been working hard and how that development on and off the pitch has helped you become the players that you are now, and maybe giving some advice to younger players looking to follow in your footsteps.
You go first, Quinn.
I saw that coming. I will say with travel and club ball for me, it might be a little bit different from Gwenna, but I grew up in, Tormenta, and I would train all the time. And then a few years back, I jumped from a few different clubs. I played surf in Clay County, were the past two clubs I played. But as for how they developed me, I'm a type of keeper that uses my feet a lot. I focus. One of my biggest good things about me is I've really good foot skills. So I focused on that when I was younger, and that really built me into the keeper I am now. And I'll just say, training with club and everything, I would train all the time. And I mean, that's how you get better. and that's how I shaped myself into what I am now. Training is like one of the most important things. You can't expect to be good if you don't put the work in for it. And that's definitely how I got to where I am.
For me, I think with Tormenta, they definitely helped me with like seeing how like the game plays, how you need to get the ball up. Definitely from like not just kicking it long, but working from the defense up to the forwards. And it's just definitely different than high school, because high school is just like not the same as club, as you know, because like footwork, just passing, everything is totally different. So yeah.
All right. So one thing I can say, having seen these girls for years, is they both are probably as aggressive as you can find on the field. I've seen Gwenna throw people down, just fighting for ball. I've seen Quinn like literally put the fear of God in forwards when she comes out, and they're both very vocal and they're both very competitive. I have been on the sideline where Quinn has literally not yelled at me disrespectfully, but competitively like, "Hey, this, and this," and Gwen is not too far off either. So that, with that being said, the way you guys play, it's aggressive, and I love it. You guys know how I am as a coach. I'm all for it. But
Yeah.
How has this helped you guys to get ready for the next level? Being Division I athletes, it's no easy feat. And that's something you guys should put up. So how are you guys preparing to jump that after this season to now go from being high school all-state players, high caliber players, to Division I athletes next year at Georgia Southern?
For me, all I know is I'm gonna have to put in 110% to play there, because it's definitely like we're playing 4A high school and we're going to Division I, like college soccer. Like that's totally different. The game's faster, quicker, more technical, and I'm gonna I have to work my butt off to be like there, to be on the field, because it's a huge roster, as we know. So it's just, you're gonna have to want it. That's really it. You're gonna have to want it.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to go off what she said. Is it's honestly your effort and how much you're willing to put into it. I mean, for me, going in, I'm a goalkeeper, and it's not as big as a gap from like playing time as it is for Gwenna, and there's definitely a big difference there. But I mean, my competitiveness is definitely going to have to carry me, because I'm not a person that likes to be sat. So going in, the mindset is just give it everything I have and make it as far as I can, and wherever that ends up, I'm going to be happy with it and keep going. So.
Exactly.
Very cool that you guys are both heading over to Georgia Southern to continue your career, and kind of both tell me about, why you decided to join the Georgia Southern Eagles to play your college soccer, and with Chris Adams head coach, and how excited you are to be playing together as two Lowco kids heading over to the same spot and join the same team.
For me, the thing that I loved about Georgia Southern was like how close it was to home. I'm able to be not too far, but not too like close. I'm able to come visit. I also love the program. All the teammates that I've met and everyone there is super nice, super welcoming. Everyone's been helpful. So I just feel like it'll be a really great program for me to join, and I'm excited.
Honestly, it's the same. I fell in love with the coaching staff and the team. I mean, it was such a good atmosphere, and I knew a few people that already went there and they loved it. And I went to the school, loved the school. I also loved their style of play, and watching them was just so fun. And I could see myself playing for them and with them. And I mean, I really wanted to play there once I saw it.
That's awesome stuff. So again, we are here with Quinn Wilson, who is a goalkeeper for the Beaufort Eagles girls soccer program, and Gwenna Townsend, who is Bluffton Bobcat athlete. And both of these girls are heading to Georgia Southern to play Division I college. So before we end this interview, ladies, we do have one more thing we have to do. It's probably the most difficult thing you're going to be doing tonight. Might be more difficult than what you've done this season. Look at Gwen is already nervous. Quinn is like poker face. I'm not going to show anything here. I'm just going to go for it. We called the penalty shootout. I am going to ask you guys 5 questions. Now, Quinn has blocked enough penalty shootouts in her life that I know she's going to do well, but I've also seen Gwenna score some bangers on penalty kicks as well, so it's going to be very interesting. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. I'm going to have – who wants to go first here? Who wants to go?
Gwenna.
I'll go first. Fine.
Okay, so Gwenna's going first. So I'm gonna ask you a question.
It's good. Going first puts pressure on the other player. Just
I
like
know that is smart strategy here. All right, so ladies, are you ready for the penalty shootout?
Yes.
Of course.
All right, question number 1, Gwenna. What is your favorite soccer team?
I don't. Probably Angel City FC. Probably them.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay. Quinn?
Real Madrid.
Okay. The men or the women?
Women.
There you go. All right. They're already sweating from the first question. This is the easy one. The first one. All right. Question number 2. So, Gwen, you're going to go again first. Who is your all-time favorite soccer player?
It has to be Morgan. It has to be. I love her.
Mine's honestly going to be Hope Solo as a player, but Hope Solo. She did a lot of impact for me.
Yeah, 2 phenomenal athletes for sure. Question number 3. What is your best soccer playing memory? Could be high school, could be club, could be rec, doesn't matter. Your best soccer playing memory.
Give that one to Quinn first. I have to think about that one.
I want to say, I'm not sure if the team's correct, but I do believe we were playing Lucy Beckham my sophomore year. And it would be when we went to a penalty shootout and I saved a penalty, made a penalty, and then saved a penalty again. That was definitely a highlight. Could not have gone better.
Honestly, it's going to have to be the James Island game that we recently just played because it's been like this every year and we finally beat them. So it felt amazing.
Okay, good. Quinn, was that the year you were Region Player of the Year?
Yes. Yeah.
There you go. Look at that. Giving you guys props. Throwing you guys some love. All right. Question number 4. What is your funniest soccer playing memory or embarrassing, whatever you want to throw out there?
For me, it had to have been when I was playing for GPS. So I had to have been like 11 or 12. And I got hit in the face with a ball and a piece of grass got in my eye and I couldn't see. And I started freaking out because I thought I went blind. So yeah, that was it for me.
So take a second to laugh at Gwenna. I would have to say when I played for Surf and it was a training session and a goal fell on me while doing keeper training.
That I don't even want to know how that was. It windy? Was it?
It was one of the goals that's it's not like 4 posts. It's the ones that are 2. So
okay.
Up and let's just say I dove into it, stood up, and it fell back on me. Not my proudest moment.
All right. Well, last question, ladies. Has been some phenomenal answers. What is your favorite movie of all time?
Remember Titans.
So
I love.
Hairspray.
nice.
That's a very interesting one from you, Quinn. Very interesting.
Affects the musicals, but I think they're the best things in the world. So.
All right, let's write that down in her bio. Quinn loves musicals. Putting that in on the scouting report.
Well, thank you guys once again for coming on. Appreciate you both, sharing, all the amazing memories that you've created and just 2 fantastic high school careers, and really excited for you both finishing up here at the high school level, then moving on to Georgia Southern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
For having us.
Thank you, ladies. Good luck the rest of the way.
Bye.
Thank you guys again. We'll take a short break. Hear from our sponsors. We'll be back with more here on Lowco FC.
Hey, Lowco sports fans. This podcast and all of our grassroots local sports content are made possible by support from community sponsors, including Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate attorneys of Lowco Sports, and the presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage. Our original sponsors are still among our greatest supporters. Ryan and Tiffany Mickelson are community pillars who will be in your corner no matter your legal needs. When you need legal representation, call on the attorneys who support Team Lowco. Call Mickelson Law Firm. Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, the official hospice provider of Lowco Sports, and the only not-for-profit hospice in southern Beaufort County. For more than 30 years, the committed, compassionate staff at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry have been there to ensure your loved ones find comfort, honor, and dignity at the end of life. Because at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, it's not about dying, it's about living. Homegrown Home Inspections, the official home inspectors of Lowco Sports. Jan Lucas and his team provide thorough, detailed home inspections aimed to ensure everyone goes into the transaction with open eyes and confidence. Jan would rather reveal an inconvenient truth than look the other way and provide reassurances that could come back to burn the buyer in the long run. If you're looking to buy or sell a home and need an honest, reliable inspector, call on Homegrown Home Inspections, official sponsors of Lowco Sports. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. If your business or organization has a website and you're trying to figure out what SEO is, you need to call on Denise and Dave Sinkovich at DDS Web Design. They'll provide a free consultation and do all the behind-the-scenes work to boost your search engine optimization and get your website found online so you can take your business to the next level. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. American Wood Reface, sustaining sponsors of Lowco Sports. Does your kitchen need a facelift? Before you start picking out new cabinets, give Ben and the team at American Wood Reface a shot. They can reface your existing cabinets to overhaul your aesthetic without the hefty price tag and reimagine your kitchen at a price point you can manage. Be sure to tell them Lowco sent you because every referral helps support Lowco Sports. 4M Metals, sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports. Got metal? Your roof might need it. Metal roofing advantages include better energy efficiency, weather protection, longevity, a more aesthetically pleasing design, and the product is all green. So if you've been thinking about a new roof, go metal. Let 4M Metals be the difference in your roof. Jay's Barbershop. It's the talk of the town and the place to be in Ridgeland. If you need your ears lowered, head over to Jay's for a fresh cut and great conversation with good folks. And tell them Lowco sent you. Local Pie, official pizza sponsor of Lowco Sports. They sling some of the best pies in the Lowco, and my kids say the mac and cheese is the best around. Hungry? Hit up Local Pie, longtime supporter of Lowco Sports. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry, the official floor cleaners of LowcoSports.com. If your feet tell you your floors need cleaning, call on Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. They provide residential and commercial services, including cleaning carpet and area rugs, tile and grout, upholstery, curtains and drapes, mattresses, and more. But most importantly, they'll get those floors so clean, your feet will thank them. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. Hilton Head Prep is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we tell you all about the Dolphins' athletic exploits. But did you know it's also the #1 ranked private K-12 school in Beaufort County and ranks in the top 2.5% of schools nationwide? Visit hhprep.org to see what Hilton Head Prep has to offer. Beaufort Academy is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we love covering the Eagles. With a student-to-faculty ratio of 7-to-1 and an average class size of 14 students, Beaufort Academy could be just the educational solution you're looking for, with more one-on-one attention. BA has a strong history of working with the whole child to prepare each student for college and life. Check them out at BeaufortAcademy.org. Thank you to all of our sustaining and supporting sponsors for their support of LowcoSports.com. Go Lowco.
And we are back here at Lowco FC, and I'm Wes Kerr, joined by Mayor of our head boys soccer coach Misael Garzon. And coach, what a pleasure it was to talk with Quinn Wilson alongside Gwenna Townsend, two terrific players throughout their high school careers. Of course, Quinn, a tremendous goalkeeper over at Beaufort, and Gwenna Townsend doing some outstanding work as a striker, really playing both offense and defense, as she mentioned in her interview, for Bluffton. So two terrific young ladies, and great to have both of them on the pod as they get ready to finish off their high school seasons and get ready for their college career at Georgia Southern.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very fun interview, kind of seeing the girls out off the field. And like you said, two great players that have had great careers here in the Lowco, both in the club scene and high school scene. As we mentioned in the interview, Quinn comes from a line of her oldest brother, who is now a coach, doing great things in the coaching side of soccer, was also a goalkeeper at Beaufort High. And she came in and kind of just raised the standard that he was a great goalie. She has been just as phenomenal, probably better goalie than him. He's going to hate me for saying that, but and Gwenna as well, two great phenomenal athletes. And historically, our area has had an abundance of great, talented girls soccer players that have moved on to play in the D1 college level, at any level, actually. And it's good to see these two young ladies continuing that tradition that has been so strong here in the Loco. And we wish them the best. We're rooting for their success. And I think because of how they are as people and as athletes, they're going to find much success at Georgia Southern in that next level in their playing career. So glad they could join us, and it was a very fun interview.
Yeah, I didn't have time to ask all my questions, but when you look at what those two have done, terrific leaders. I mean, setting great examples for their teammates. Quinn Wilson, a great basketball player as well, over there for Beaufort High, had a tremendous season. Went to Reggie Jones, came back to coach the Eagles in the basketball court, and that group surprised and won a lot of games that they shouldn't have won. And that speaks to the terrific play of Quinn Wilson, her leadership abilities, and just the intangibles that separate the good from the great. And Quinn Wilson has shown that whatever field or court that she plays on, and just really thankful to and blessed to see so many amazing young men and young women have that level of tenacity and dedication in their sports here in the Loco. And those two definitely have it, and great to have them share what they've done through their careers so far here on the pod. But let's kick it around. Let's talk about the Loco soccer action here around the area, and let's get back into the Skeeza realm first before we get back to high school league, because a lot of Skeeza teams are making some noise here as we get towards the home stretch of the calendar season. And JP2 boys, of course, made that state title match a year ago, off to another strong start here in 2023. And then girls from Hilton Head Christian Academy, haven't seen them that much. They haven't played many games recently, but they're starting to wake up, and they're picking up some solid wins. So you look at some of these Skeeza teams, JP2 boys, JP2 girls had that nice battle against Hilton Head Prep, and Hilton Head Christian Academy girls winners of those last two state titles. You cannot count them out. They're going to be right there as we get closer to the postseason.
Yeah, definitely. And you look at those region standings for the boys and girls, it's dominated by local teams. And it's been some quality matchups, as we talked about. Christian Academy girls are kind of waking up. They've been undefeated in the last 4 matches that they've played. They tied Beaufort Academy earlier this year in non-region. Another team that's having a great season, the Beaufort Academy girls. But like you said, also Prep beating JP2, heading JP2 to the first loss on the girls' side. And then on the boys' side as well, you have John Paul II, which has had a very strong and dominant season so far, as they now start getting to the thick of the region schedule. But you also have Beaufort Academy not too far behind right there, and they're pulling off kind of some impressive wins lately and kind of getting back into the region playoff race. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the region plays out for both of these teams on the boys and girls side, and kind of seeing who wins. But it's a very tough region, very good competition, and very well represented by our teams here in the Loco.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about high school teams, but we've got some great talent on the Skeeza side, as evidenced by some of those squads at the top. But BA girls, certainly, they deserve more love. Plus 34 goal differential. They're 6-2-2 on the season so far, and 5-0 win over Bridges Prep. They shut out Carleton Prep 6-0, and they beat Holy Trinity 3-1. So they've been busy lately, but they've been super consistent, and they've been racking up those wins. So love to see the production out of these Skeeza squads who we've seen over the years the amount of talent they have, and it's been a continuing tradition with a lot of them as you look towards a lot of these squads. So Hilton Head Prep, the girls are right there, and that's going to be a fantastic game. I mean, already get your calendar circled for that one, the 2-game series between Hilton Head Prep and Hilton Head Christian Academy on the girls' side. That's not going to be until April 25th and May 2nd, but going to be well worth the wait to see those two squads match up.
Yeah, it's going to be a very fun matchup, a very fun game. And even JP2 also playing Christian Academy as well. And then the rematch when Prep comes down to JP2 to play there after a close game. Those are going to be some very fun games. Prep girls, you see the record 6-4, but they're coming around, starting to get in the group of things. They play some tough matchups early on, and so they look to be coming around. And again, last year they got bounced to the playoff earlier than they would have liked. Ashley Brothers is doing a phenomenal job leading the charge in 8th grader and getting the goals for the team. So those are going to be some very exciting games. You know, the Christian Academy and prep game is no longer down the road as they used to be on one end of the island and the other. It's a little further trip now for both teams to come play each other, but it's still a very big rivalry. And it's going to be interesting to see what effect these games will have late in the season come playoff time to get these teams ready for a deep playoff run, which I know all teams are ready to do.
And Hill and Christian, I mean, they have not played much. They took a couple weeks off in terms of heavy scheduling, but 7-1 dominant win over Coastal Homeschool. Hat trick Friday Paduzzi and an assist, a terrific night for her. Bless her, Tyler Devin Yard. So many veterans that we've seen on those championship squads those last few years, not just on the soccer field, but the basketball court too. I mean, that winning culture at HHCA, it's going to be hard to count them out, especially Abby Paduzzi. This is it, senior year. She wants to go. She wants to finish out on top, doesn't she?
Absolutely. And then she's had a phenomenal career at Christian Academy. Pretty much any sport she plays, she just seems to excel in. So what better way to finish out your phenomenal Hall of Fame career that you've had at Christian Academy than by winning a state championship and finishing off at the top of the mountain. And I think that's what they're going for. But it's going to be tough. And it's good to see the amount of quality and talent that our local teams are having in SCISA, because that will prepare them, in my opinion, for the other teams in the state that they have to play to get to the final goal, which is winning a state championship.
Yeah, and of course, it's going to look a little different this year because of the realignment. So I think it gives more opportunity for more teams to make that run. For Hilton Head Prep, when they were originally in that big 3A region or 3A classification with all those top teams, maybe as we saw in basketball, it gives more teams a shot, and that's going to be. We could see another Hilton Head Christian Academy as we did for boys basketball in here the playoffs of girls soccer. So definitely adds a lot more wrinkles with the opportunity for more teams to contend for state championships now with 4 classifications compared to just 3 earlier before this 2022-23 school year. But Paduzzi with a big time week. Don't sleep on Bless her title. She's been a really nice goal scorer and playmaker, and then Devin Yard with her speed. I mean, it's electric both on the basketball court and now on the soccer field. And she's got a variety of talents that have been put to good use no matter the sport. And man, just the championship mentality. There's a lot to say about that. And talk about Paduzzi racking up those rings. Devin Yard, just a junior, and she's been doing that too, and still is another year after this. And you got to think the basketball team is going to be the favorite next year as well. So a lot of winning going over there at Hilton Head Christian Academy with some of those girls and those girls teams, along with that football team these last few years as well over there for Ron Paduzzi. So the culture being built there, and then that's a testament to the coaches and testament to those hardworking players as well. But back here to the soccer side. And once again, as we mentioned, so many strong SCISA squads. I mean, I'm excited to see what this JP2 boys team does going forward. Of course, got to the state championship last year. A nice 4-1 win over Hilton Head Prep on the road. Never an easy place to play, and JP2 took care of business and got a pretty strong win over there at Sea Pine. So JP2 taking care of business right now as in this region so far. And you got to think they'll be, one of the top teams over there in that classification looking to get back there. Again, Kaylon Reynolds with 2 goals and assists, Jackson Sanders and William Rooney each adding a goal for a very strong, versatile, and deep JP2 squad.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's getting a big road win as they did against Hilton Head Prep last week, 4-1. It's just kind of continuing what they've been doing all season, which is scoring a lot of goals, making it difficult for opponents to score on them, and just winning. And again, when we spoke to Coach Box last week, they want to go back and they want to play again for the state championship because they want to do what they didn't do last year, and that's get the win. And so far, he's done a good job scheduling public school games, some tough games as well, getting them in there to get his group. As you said, it's a new group. It's a different group than what they had last year. But so far, they've done really well. And I think they're also going to be the team to be in that region. But we can't sleep on their teams as well, right? Any given night, things can happen. Soccer is soccer at the end of the day, and anybody can get a win. So it's going to be important for these teams to stay focused. And they're going to girls side, like you said, with those Christian Academy basketball players haven't been there in state championships for so many years. Mentally, they are going to be ready, and they can rub that off on their teammates and say, hey, maybe you haven't been here in the soccer, but this is what it takes to go there. And that's going to come into play as we get towards the end of the season, as the region games start becoming more consistent and then more on top of each other. And then when you get to the playoffs, it's a completely different dynamic because there's no guarantee you're playing tomorrow. There's no guarantee that you win the first round or second round. So these games are going to be very important. And if these teams are serious about going all the way and winning or contending for a state championship, then right now, this last month, they're going to have to fine-tune things and get themselves ready physically and mentally to make deep playoff runs.
Well, just like they've said in these last weeks in March Madness, survive and advance. And it's the same mentality here when you get to the postseason. It's, 80 minutes, and you got to find a way to outscore the opposition. You can't afford to make many mistakes because it really only takes one for the other team to put the ball back in net and completely change that dynamic of a match. So, every pass, every dribble, and every touch you make means so much more, and has so much more consequence in a one game scenario in the playoffs. So, you gotta be on your best foot forward. You have to have the right strategy and just gotta be dialed in more than those other guys, and that's what it comes down to. So, you gotta love these best of one playoffs, and that's what you love about these high school sports because if you're not on top of your game for just a couple of minutes or for half an hour, your season could be at risk. So it's heartbreaking, and the business side of it can be, but for fans and for sports writers and journalists, so much fun to cover these playoffs. And I think a lot of these teams, you talk about the mentality you got to have. Well, those Hilton Head Christian Academy girls, they know how to win the postseason, and they're going to be on that first foot forward when we get to that time. So. Really excited for the postseason, and as also for the high school league. And let's transition into once again a very captivating Region 7-4A on both the boys and the girls side. Well, starting with the girls, Lucy Beckham 3-1 winners over Bluffton. So the Bengals sitting pretty in the driver's seat at 5-0. Bluffton blanking River, as you mentioned, and another tough loss for Hilton Head High. They have been in a ton of these games. Unfortunately, fell on the wrong side of James Island 3-0. That game was 1-0 up until the last 10 minutes, and the Trojans put away with two more goals late. But, Seahawks played them tough. Strong back line, just couldn't find the ability to put one in the back of the nets, and came up short. But this Hilton Head High team, sitting at 1-4, don't let that record deceive you, because this team, I think, is right on par with all these other squads, and sometimes it just doesn't bounce your way and you don't get the breaks. But this Seahawk team is going to compete until the very end, sitting there at 1-4, and never can count them out. But a lot of work to be done over there from the Hilton Head squad.
Yeah, no, and like we talked about all season, the region is what I believe to be the toughest region in girls soccer in the state, and it for a reason. And you look at the games, look at the scores. There's not many blowouts happening in the region matchups here when it comes to those five teams: Beckham, James Island, Bluffton, May River, and Hilton Head. The games are close, which means any given night, the result can change, and that's where Hilton Head is right now. We talked about it. You look at the scores, the close games that they've lost to May River, Bluffton, James Island, Lucy Beckham, but they're still in it, mathematically. They're only one game out from the last playoff spot in 4A, one game behind May River. May River currently owns a tiebreaker, 2 games out of Bluffton, and they're now heading into the second half of the region schedule. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this shapes out. We've been saying it all season since our first podcast. These region games are going to matter, especially these local on local matchups that we still have to go. We still have May River Bluffton again. Bluffton and Hilton Head play again Tuesday night this week. That's going to be a very important game for the girls, especially if Hilton Head wants to keep things alive and have the playoff hopes alive. They're kind of in a must-win situation at this point because getting a win against Bluffton, puts them at 2-4, one game behind Bluffton in the standings. So they're kind of walking into that as in a must-win situation. And Mid River is also fighting as well. They play Lucy Beckham this week, Tuesday, and then they play James Island on Friday. As we know, the last time they played, May River was able to lose just by 1-0 to James Island and 2-1 to Lucy Beckham. But now they are on the road against James Island, which is always tough to play there. James Island at home and Lucy Beckham on the road. And it's going to be very interesting. So it's now starting to get where the pressure is going to be a factor for all of these teams. James on as well. Right now, Lucy Beckham's undefeated in the driver's seat, but now it's going to be a factor. You have to finish the job and secure your playoff spot because that's going to be very important come playoff seeding. As I said earlier, playoff brackets came out last week. Region 7 has 2 bye in the first round, first seed and the second seed. And trust me, the way the playoff format is in the high school league, where you have one game one day of rest, and another game the next day because they're right on other dates, it's going to be vital to get that extra day of rest and not have to play. And also playing at home, it's going to be very, very, very favorable. So you're going to see a lot of tough matches, but also a lot of pressure. And I'm curious to see which of these girls teams going to step up and be able to kind of push themselves forward and secure those playoff spots this last month of the season.
And those first-round those buys are going to be so crucial. Not only do you get the extra, coveted rest, but you also get the ability to host those playoff games at home. So, so many benefits to getting one of those top spots and securing that bye. And Lucy Beckham looks to be on their way. But as you mentioned, no game is easy for most of these region contests. So you got to be on your best every night. And we'll see if Beckham can continue the strong, tear that they're on so far. But, James on, right, lurking at 3-1, Bluffton 4-2. Both those squads certainly not out of a region championship by any means. So obviously Bluffton, I believe they're swept in the series by Beckham. So it might not be going to probably need some help by Beckham if they want to get that region title, but still an opportunity to go for that number 2 spot with the already head advantage over James Island. Will meet again over in Charleston. So that should be a fantastic rematch between the Bobcats and the Trojans. Maver 2-3, Hilton Head 1-4. So a battle potentially between those two for that final spot. So excited to see how that unfolds. Every game just continues to amp up the pressure as we move towards the finish line. But then on the boys, your Maver Sharks getting a huge OT win 2-1 over Bluffton. Bluffton also losing to Lucy Beckham this week 2-0. And Bengals blowing out Colleton 8-0, and James Island blanking Hilton Head 5-0. So Trojans still unbeaten at 5-0. And then there is a pile up for that second place spot between 4 different teams: May River, Lucy Beckham, Bluffton, and Hilton Head. Sharks are 3-2, but you got Lucy Beckham, Bluffton both at 3-3, and then Hilton at 2-3. So it is razor thin, those margins between potentially getting the number 2 seed and potentially missing the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy because, again, if you look at the results of these boys games, even James Island, the games are fairly close, so it's no guarantee where you're seeing, hey, this is an easy win, easy runaway. And look at the goal differentials, right? Look at the final results that you're seeing in these games. They are close games. And then this week, it's going to be very important. Tuesday, we host Lucy Beckham here at May River. You're pretty much fighting for that second playoffs right now because they're half a game behind us because they play one more game than we have. But Lucy Beckham and Bluffton are tied for that third and fourth playoff spot. What's interesting is they split the season series. The goal differentials and head-to-head is the same because Bluffton won the first matchup 4-2, and then Lucy Beckham got the revenge win at Lucy Beckham 2-0 last Wednesday. So it's going to be who finishes where in region standings for that spot. And like you said, only one game is separating May River and Hilton Head. And Hilton Head owns a tiebreaker against us right now because they beat us in PKs last Friday. So it's going to be a very important week. Lucy Beckham plays May River Tuesday night. We host them here at the Shark Tank. That same night, you have the Bridge Bowl, or we can call it the Bridge Derby since it's soccer. I don't have a name for it for soccer, but you have the Bridge Bowl Tuesday night between Bluffton and Hilton Head. First time they played, Bluffton beat Hilton Head 2-0. As we know, Hilton Head's boys program is a very solid defensive team. It is difficult to score against them because they sit in and they make you work. They will scrap and fight for that 1-0 win or that 1-1 time playing the PKs as they did against us. So those 2 games are going to be very important. And then Friday night, we travel to James Island for another important region matchup. So, again, pressure, right? Where's the pressure at? And I think it's been since the beginning of the season for both of these regions for the boys and girls where we know how important every game is. That's why if you watched the game Friday night between Bluffton and May River, you saw that both teams knew the importance of winning that match and getting that leg up in the first round of the Derby to get preferred playoff positioning. As a team that's had to travel to Myrtle Beach the last 2 years for playoffs because of our region finishing, trust and believe me, I want us to be able to get a first round bye, get some much needed rest, and then host a second round playoff game and have those Myrtle Beach region teams come to us rather than us traveling to them. So it's going to be a very interesting and very stressful last month of the season. You guys might see me balding by the time the season's over here on the Lowco FC podcast, but iron sharpens iron. That's what we're here for. And it's going to be fun for you guys to watch and enjoy from afar. For us who are living it, it's going to be very stressful, but this is what we have to do to be able to get where we need to get. Because, again, our goal is to win a state championship. Everybody here, whether it's us, Bluffton, Hilton Head, it doesn't matter. We're all gunning for the same thing, and we know what needs to happen for us to be able to get there as best as possible.
I know your feelings, man. It's a tough road. You've done it before, though, and certainly you have the talent and the knowledge and just that determination, work ethic with your team to try to do it again. So really proud of what you're doing over there at May River, and proud of all of our teams across Lowco, especially in that very tough region. Iron sharpens iron, and as we've said, whoever makes it out is going to be well equipped and well prepared to face anybody in that South Carolina High School League 4A postseason. So really excited for that. Going to be a fun couple weeks ahead. But one more thing to do before we get out here on this Sunday night, and it's time to name our 3 stars of the week for this past week of action. Hopefully not as many players potentially choose from because of all the rainouts that we've had, but still some great performances individually and as these teams have shown. But we will start with you, Misa, and name your 3 stars of the week for this past week of action.
Absolutely. So my offensive star of the week, we spoke about her earlier in the opening segment. Ashley Brothers. I mean, who else can you choose when you have a hat trick? You're in 8th grade against a region matchup, but not just a region matchup, but a team that had not lost a game in this season. Go out there and get a hat trick. So she is my offensive player star of the week. She has had a phenomenal season, and I can't see why that won't continue for the remainder of this season. And it's going to be vital for Hilton Head's perhaps playoff runs and how deep they go into the playoffs. Defensively, I couldn't just narrow it down to one. So I went with the Bluffton girls defense. When you get a clean sheet in a big rivalry game and also a region game, that is very hard to do, especially with a rival like May River. But they got the clean sheet Friday night. They bounced back, responded very well after losing on the road to Lucy Beckham Wednesday. And again, they put themselves right in the thick of the playoff race for that 2 spot with James Island. Please remember, those of you who are watching, keeping track, as of right now, Bluffton owns the tiebreaker against James Island. They won the first matchup. So they have the control right now. Their destiny, if they win out, if they win out, you could potentially see them finishing 2nd place, because then that would mean James Island would have 3 losses, assuming James Island wins, doesn't lose any other games. But they could potentially have finished 2nd. So its destiny is in their hands right now. We see the tie with Lucy Beckham and James Island. As we said last week, they were playing overtime. There was a serious injury, so the game had to be suspended. High school league doesn't allow ties, so I'm not sure what the status is of that. I am going to find out this week to see what is going on there, if it will go down as a tie or what changes if it does affect region standings, because the high school league, unfortunately, does not allow ties. So we're going to see that. But Bluffton, if they went out, they finished 8-2. They lost Lucy Beckham already. They got swept, so that's out of the way. That secures them pretty much to finish 2nd place. That'll be very important. And then my keeper is one of my guys, Sil Browerson, a senior, first-year keeper. Has had a great season, 3 clean sheets. He's had 36 saves into this so far this season. Had some big saves against Bluffton. There was a moment of the game where Bluffton was just attacking. He had some 2 key saves where he just tipped the ball over the crossbar to get in the corner kicks. Had a phenomenal game. Right now, he is his goals against average is 1.158, which speaks highly of him as a first-year varsity keeper, but also our defensive line. But he's having a great year. He had a great week, and hopefully he continue having a great season, because I think that's going to be vital for us to get that favorable playoff position and still contend for a region championship. So those are my 3. So Wes, who are your 3 stars of this week?
For my forward, I'm going to go with the one, the only Abby Paduzzi, who continues to tear it up, now back on the soccer field, and a big week for Abby, the senior. 2 goals against Patrick Henry in a 4-1 win, then puts up a hat trick of her own against Coastal Homeschool in a 7-1 win, and 3 goals and an assist in that one. So that's 5 goals plus a helper in just a week's action. So a big time couple of games for Paduzzi, who really, you look at her and she's the leader, she's the driving force of this team, and there are a lot of supporting players. You look at Bless Your Tie, you look at Devin Yard, but it all starts with the talent, the quickness, and just the determination. Abby Peduzzi, she has been an absolute rock star throughout her career over the HHCA, and going to be sorely missed after the season, because you just look at everything that she influenced and the titles that she won. I mean, it just speaks highly to her compete and her level of athleticism, and just a never-ending, next play, next possession, next moment mentality, because she knows how to seize those big opportunities and look for her to find ways to take over for those Eagles as she finishes out her just incredible Hilton Head Christian Academy career. So Abby Peduzzi, my forward for the 3 stars of the week. Going over to the defense, I'm going to go with a player that I saw in person, Bryn Miller, with Hilton Head Prep making some important plays down the stretch defensively on that back line, holding that lead intact. A couple of important plays to, pull out what was a very hard-fought victory against a JP2 team that really impressed me, but just a clinical performance by Bryn Miller, especially late. Also picked up an assist, so a really well-rounded game for Bryn Miller. Very talented and a backbone of that prep unit going forward. So big-time performance from Bryn Miller in that region win. And then for my goalie, I'll go on the JP2 boys side and go with Austin Quinn for the Golden Warriors. He's 7-2 with a 1.041 goals against average. He's been rock solid between the pipes this weekend and this entire season so far for the Golden Warriors.
Yeah, no, he's been phenomenal, and he's been vital for the Golden Warriors, as well as the run that Dave had as well. But we spoke about Abby earlier, senior, the experience, the career that she's had. No surprise there, and she's going to be vital in how Christian Academy season ends. But 3 phenomenal, and shout out to our producer who's just popping up highlights as we mention names. I mean, I know some of you may have missed it. He did have a cameo today. He was on screen for about 0.6 seconds. Go back and watch it, and you'll see him. But shout out to our producer doing a great job. But again, congrats to all players, coaches. Again, any players that are doing a phenomenal job, let us know. We want to shout out players. We love having the diversity of these players that we have had. And we know there's an immense amount of talent here in the Lowco. And we want to make sure that we show everyone some love, as we're seeing some highlights of the Christian Academy boys. I mean, come on. This producer here, he deserves a pay raise at some point. I think so. What do you think, Wes?
I absolutely am on board with that. Thank you, JJ.
I'm just saying that was an Austin O'Quinn save. I was trying to dig up in real time, but yes, I made an accidental cameo earlier. I appreciate the shout out. Old dogs, new tricks over here producing live podcasts. What do you know?
Well, thank you, JJ, for once again your great work for everything with Lowco Sports, and just once again speaks to our mission, which is shine a light on our amazing student athletes and getting them noticed and getting them their praise for all the amazing work that you do on and off the field here in the Lowco. And we love to do that, and we love to have you be a part of it and watching and listening to all our podcasts here with Lowco Media. So another fantastic show here with Misael Garzon. Thanks again to our guests today, both of them for coming on, who have had tremendous years, both Quinn Wilson and Gwenna Townsend. I mean, just tremendous job that both of those 2 young ladies have accomplished throughout their careers so far, and just really cool to see them continue to play together at the next level over at Georgia Southern. So thanks to them for coming on. Thanks to Misael Garzon for all his outstanding work co-hosting and the amazing job that he does over coaching those Maryville Sharks. And thanks to all of you for joining us and watching, listening here on Lowco FC. We'll do it again next week. Cannot wait to put on another show in just a few days. But once again, this has been Lowco FC, Wes Kerr, Misael Garzon. So many more games I'm excited to get to this coming week. Hilton Head High, Bluffton, the girls, I'll be over there on Tuesday, and that's going to be an exciting game with, as we mentioned, a ton of postseason implications on the line. So once again, for Misa
had one more thing he wanted to mention.
Go ahead.
Yeah, before we officially cut off, shout out to JJ Sher Anderson Jones, also a soccer player, phenomenal kid, amazing human being, one of the best kids I ever had the pleasure of coaching. Love what he's doing and where he's at now. So Anderson Jones, we still love you here in the Lowco. You're still one of our boys. But I did want to give in a more serious note before we finish, for those who may not have heard, I want to give a shout out to a Stratford player. So earlier this week on Tuesday night, during their region matchup, a Stratford soccer player, number 21, Omar Clunas, went into cardiac arrest. And thankfully, they were able to get him situated, and he was at MUSC in a coma. Since then, he has been taken off the coma, and he is making progress every day. Last update I got is that he's showing progress every day. So, for those of you who may not know what cardiac arrest is, if you remember Danny Hamlin's situation back in the NFL season, something very similar. That's in the professional level. To know that it happened in the local level, Coach Jesse has kept me up to date. He's done a phenomenal job. Great coach. We built a great relationship between both programs. So I just want to send my thoughts and prayers out to Omar. We are praying for you. We are here for you in the SAR community. So Lowco FC supports you, and we want to see your full recovery. So I just wanted to give him a shout out. And those of you, thoughts and prayers. Keep Omar in your thoughts and prayers for a full recovery as well.
And shout out to the trainers and the medical staff. They need to show up for this to become a success. That's not easy. And we saw what happened with Damar Hamlin. Everybody, had to play a role for that to be a success. And now Hamlin's, on the road to potentially playing the NFL again, as he mentioned a few days ago, which is unbelievable. But I mean, in this situation, it takes a village. It takes everybody. It takes trainers. It takes teammates, the friends, that emotional support. I mean, positivity is everything. And, we're all in his corner. And as we were with Anderson Jones, and we're all part of the Anderson Jones fan club, and we wish him all the best. We wish, he was out there playing basketball and playing soccer, but I'm just glad that he's recovering and, had a great experience a couple of months ago over with the Georgia Bulldogs, and just awesome to see him, well and enjoying life, because that's what it's all about. Soccer and sports is one thing, but above all, I wish health and safety comes first. So, just tough news all the way around, but just so uplifted, inspired by the community, trainers, medical staff, everyone, and doing their part to help make those recoveries successful. And we wish them all the best in our thoughts and prayers going forward. So on that note, we'll call tonight here at Lowco FC. From Misael Garzon, I am Wes Kerr. Thank you again for joining us. And until next time, go Lowco.
The Lowco FC podcast is a production of Lowco Media LLC and LowcoSports.com, providing grassroots local sports journalism in the South Carolina Lowcountry. To become a sponsor of this show and market your business or organization to our audience, send email to lowcosports@gmail.com. That's LOWCO sports@gmail.com. You can also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/LowcoSports. Your monthly pledge will help us continue to provide great grassroots local sports journalism. Go Lowco.